Okay, so we're going to rank the Batman the Animated Series villains today. We're not going to include the villains from the new Batman Adventures, and we can save that for another episode.
Yeah, save that for extra content.
Yeah, so just the original TAS lineup today, and we aren't going to include the minor villains, or at least most of them, so like the werewolf episode, or the Island of Dr. Moreau guy, or like Tony Zuko. Like, those characters are great, but they're just kind of, they're so minor that I'm not going to count them. So we just got the major players today, or the standout one-off villains that we're going to be rating.
The classics. We're doing the classics list.
We're doing the classics. So first up, our first character that we're going to rank is Baby Doll. Where do you see Baby Doll on this list? Now, one-off villain. Actually, no, she does reoccur in the new Batman Adventures, but as far as Batman the Animated Series, a one-off villain, and quite a interesting character, because obviously she gives the appearance of like an innocent, harmless little girl, but she's, an adult who's trapped in the little girl's body, and she is extremely intelligent. She's conniving. I think she's a force to be reckoned with. What are you thinking, a B?
I like Baby Doll quite a bit. She has the aura of Chucky around her, but also the Kirsten Dunst from Interview with a Vampire, that forever young even though your mind is old, and also that Orphan movie, spoiler alert, which I never saw even though I know the ending of. She's pretty much the same exact character. So
yes,
I very much enjoy this character, Bud, and I would like to see more of this character. So I agree that it should be in a B category.
B for Baby Doll.
B for Baby Doll.
Well, baby, you'd better have a pretty good explanation for this.
I didn't mean to.
Okay, next up, we got Clayface.
I mean, it's a throw between S and A, right? Because Clayface is freaking awesome, but like, is Clayface S tier? No, because like, have I ever read like one of the classics and it's Clayface as the villain? He's a solid. You know what? He's a solid A. I'm gonna give him an A.
I feel like you're right with that. Like, I was leaning towards S tier, but then thinking about Clayface, you're right. Like, I read one great comic, which is The One Bad Day, which I thought was a great comic. But outside of that, he is amazing Batman the Animated Series, but really he only has 2 episodes. So again, we don't see loads of him like Baby Doll. Those episodes are great, but he sits well in an A for me. I'm with you on that one. Let's drop him in the A.
Cool.
I'm not an actor anymore. I'm not even a man.
All right, next up we got Talia al Ghul, the daughter of the Demon's Head.
Love interest for Bruce Wayne.
Potentially the greatest love interest for Bruce Wayne, right?
Potentially. Mother of his child.
Yeah, but we're talking betas though, so let's.
We're doing just our rankings of in this show.
Yes.
I gotcha. You know how I feel about the League of Shadows. I don't think it's the most interesting part of Batman the Animated Series, or the Batman lore in general. I personally put her at a D.
Ooh, okay. I like Talia in this. She goes on in the DCAU to be an even stronger character, but as we're in the confines of just Batman the Animated Series, I would say C. I'm leaning towards more C because she discovers that Batman is Bruce Wayne in the first time that they ever meet, and I like the dynamic of her being in the middle between Bruce and Ra's al Ghul, her dad. I like that dynamic, that she's kind of the question mark to that whole relationship. All
right, I'll agree she can go into C. I guess putting her in a D would be too dirty for Talia.
You must understand, beloved. I share my father's vision and seek the same ends, but I do not choose his means to those ends.
I know.
Next up, we got the Ventriloquist and Scarface. Okay, so to start with, I think that the voice of the Ventriloquist and Scarface are both amazing. They're both done by the same voice actor, except that they sound totally different. I love that Scarface has this like, hey, you mugs, like this real old-timey gangster feel to him, like 1930s, like true.
He's Capone, isn't he?
He's Capone, right? He's a mini wooden Capone. It's a really cool dynamic between both of them. They're obviously the same person, but you believe they're 2 different people when you're seeing it. So I'm leaning towards B.
I am actually leaning to a higher ranking than that because I really like Scarface, and I like the whole dynamic. He's always also reminded me of the mobster in the Looney Tunes, the one that's like, shut up.
Shut up. Shut up.
Do like Muggsy, whatever he says to like his
yeah, you're right.
gods.
Yeah.
But I suppose, would I put him on the same level as Clayface? No, I wouldn't. So yes, B. But would I put him on the same level as Baby Doll? No, I'd put him higher than Baby Doll.
Okay, so we're going A for...
I'm going A with
Scarface.
Scarface. Scarface is
I like that.
So what? You're a ventriloquist! You're also a lying, yellow, liver-bellied, two-faced... No, Scarface, not me! I'm loyal! I'd never...
Okay, next up. Granted, this is the film, but it's still part of Batman the Animated Series. We've got Andrea Beaumont, also known as the Phantasm. To start with, I think that she is an amazing character. Obviously, you don't know it's her until the very end of the movie, but I like the look of the Phantasm. I think that just the whole silhouette, the mask, the eyes, the scythe hand, the cape, the smoke, the voice even, like that, like deep, like...
Your angel of death awaits.
I'm going high with this. I'm going S tier with the Phantasm.
I disagree on that, because when we rewatched the film, I do love the Phantasm, but the moment it was revealed who it was, Joker made the Phantasm look like a little bitch. Like, beat her easily, and nearly got her sucked into a jet propeller. Like, it made the character seem so non-threatening. Because I think what made this character
He did
strong,
beat her with baloney. He did beat her with baloney.
I
Yeah.
think what made this character strong was it was using one of the tactics that Batman does, which is fear, right? It was all about instilling fear into people, making them run away, hit things, gravestones falling on them and stuff like that. That was her absolute strength. What she lacks compared to Batman is Batman has the fear, but he also has the skills to back up, like, taking you down. And I think that's what she's missing. And also, with the reveal happened, and we've only seen the character once. My personal is a B.
Oh, a B. All right, well, I say S. You say B.
So we can, I guess, when that happens, we'll do a compromise at putting it in between.
Me in the middle. Yeah, A sits well with me.
So you figured it out.
So next up, we got the ninja Kyodai Ken from Bruce's past that comes into Gotham. He's in 2 episodes. You got Night of the Ninja and Day of the Samurai. What do you like or what do you dislike about Kyodai Ken?
So you want to be Kyodai Ken. It's a little
What?
Cobra Kai reference there.
It's like, what?
Kyodai Ken, I don't remember him from the show at all. So he's made a zero lasting impression on me, who's watched the show many times. So therefore, I'm putting him in the D spot.
You know what? Like, I remember these episodes. I think it's cool that he has a lot to do with Bruce's past. Like, he was in the same dojo that Bruce studied in, and like they had the same master, and obviously he betrayed.
Well, if I saw this episode recently, my opinion might be completely different. You know, the fact that I'm going off just that I don't remember this guy at all. But what you just told me sounds pretty cool. So just for that, bump him up to a C, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think C's good with him. He can go next to Talia. Let's pop him next in the C category.
Sayonara, Batman.
All right, next up is probably one of my favorite villains for Batman, one that has always had him wrapped around her tail, so to speak. What do you think of Catwoman in this show?
Clearly an S rank, right? And especially her in this show, it's the best interpretation of the character. What a voice, my God. It's just...
Absolutely.
Love it so much. That's an easy S.
Yeah, that is an easy S, I agree. Just Catwoman and Selena Kyle in this show, the way that she plays off both Batman and Bruce Wayne when they're obviously in and out of costume. It's just so great to watch. So I really love that. I totally agree. S tier.
And in terms of love interest, this is why for me Talia's down to a C, because I think that Catwoman is his true love, in my opinion.
Perfect, my love. Let's go home.
All right, next up, it is the force to be reckoned with. It is Bane. What do we think of Bane in this show? He only made 1 appearance in Batman the Animated Series. Obviously went on to do new Batman and stuff. But as we're sticking with just the animated series, what do you think of that 1 episode of Bane?
I haven't seen it in a long time, but this is, for me personally, another easy S. I think that the version of Bane in Batman the Animated Series is the best version of Bane. The voice.
Call me Bane.
Like the actually leaning into his lucha wrestling background and stuff. And that he's intelligent instead of a big dum-dum. This is like my favorite version of Bane. And I just really dig this character in this. I mean, look, I'm a wrestling fan, so for Bane, I'm in on the get-go. And he seems like the only character that can come on being like, I am going to beat Batman, that you're like, yeah, I reckon that guy could do it.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I was not thinking S at all, but you saying those things, I was going to go B for Bane with this one. I was going to put him in the B category.
I can't do him dirty like that next to a baby doll. That's like
I do like him in the trench coat as well, that look he has.
I said it on the last episode. I love a character in like a trench coat and a hat. Like that's my shtick, my jam.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I don't think S. I'm going to have to say A. You all right with A with Bane?
I'm okay with A, yeah.
All right, let's put him in A.
Toys. You try to fight me with pathetic little toys.
Okay, next up, we have Count Vertigo, which is a one-time character. He was in the episode that Talia al Gul first appeared in. He's got a monocle kind of eye patch that can make you feel like you don't know top from bottom and can make you all disoriented. He's also voiced by Basil Exposition.
Welcome, friends. You're quite right. I have been expecting you.
I suggest you don't worry about this sort of thing and just enjoy yourself. That goes for you all, too. Yes.
From Austin Powers, which I think is great.
Nazi at the bottom indeed.
Yeah, he is in D, isn't he?
Get that Nazi in the D spot. Moving on.
I suppose this had to happen sooner or later.
All right, next up, we got probably the king of the mob in Gotham City, the head honcho himself. We got Rupert Thorne. What do you think of Rupert Thorne?
It's Batman's Kingpin, and again, so well used in this show and not as well used in other forms of media. I love the mafia aspect of Batman. It's one of my favorite things. Batman vs. the Mob. Mwah. I mean, the Long Halloween is the first book I fell in love with in the Batman universe, so starting it off like The Godfather. And as a cinephile, it's just, I'm wanking my little film deck as we speak. My God, I love it. I put him at an A. I put him at a solid A.
Love that. Yeah, there's enough said. That's it. He's going in the A.
Through a 1 in a million mishap, you've realized the dream of every criminal in Gotham.
Okay, next up, we have a character which is basically the Wish.com version of Riddler. Before Riddler even showed up in the show, we got Josiah Wormwood from the Cape and Cowl Conspiracy.
Yeah, but it's a character that you and I both actually really like.
He's basically a PG version of Jigsaw.
Yeah.
You know, from the Saw movies in this.
You're not? You're upset?
Trying to get information before you essentially drown in quicksand or some sort of dire situation you have to get out of. So what do we think of Josiah Wormwood? His look, his feel. He's got that kind of creepy voice, the way he speaks and stuff.
He actually beat Batman, technically. So it's a great episode, and there's one of the funniest delivery of dialogue ever. When he gets really fucked off, it's I was like, hey, that's a Robson right there. They just stubbed their toe. I put him in a solid B, to be honest. That's my vote.
Ooh, I think he's more C. I think he's more
fine.
C.
That's fine.
Yeah, he works there. One-time villain, not the best, not the worst.
You were playing me for a fool!
Okay, next up we got Jervis Tetch, the Mad Hatter. What do you think of the Mad Hatter in this show?
Son of my voice. I have a love-hate relationship with the Mad Hatter. Sometimes I really enjoy him. Sometimes I just want him to fuck off.
Yes.
It depends on the episode. The episode when he tricks Bruce Wayne with the dreaming is one of the best episodes of Batman the Animated Series, hands down. It's so much fun. I love that you said that you used to that was your fun fact that you would tell a date that oh, did you know you can't read in your dreams? And the fact that you knew that was from an episode of Batman the Animated Series is very funny to me. But he is an iconic Batman villain.
But Chance to Dream alone sends him up there because that episode is top tier, and he is the villain, the mastermind behind that entire episode.
He's got a great theme as well. Put that creepy little scoundrel in A.
Yeah, I agree.
I always thought there's two people that should have been cast to be the Mad Hatter, and one is Martin Short, and the other is the guy at the end of Christmas with the Cranks that ends up being Santa Claus, because he speaks.
Oh, he'd be great
and looks exactly like him in the show.
Yes, he does.
It's shocking how much similar they look. There's one point at the end of the movie, they're in a supermarket together, and he's talking to her, and he smiles at her how's your daughter, or something like that. And the way he looks at her with his teeth, I was like, that's the Mad fucking Hatter.
Yeah, that's a great casting choice. I would watch that. So yeah, okay, A tier.
Oh, fabulous day, Kaloo Kalay!
Okay, next up, we've got the Clock King, which is a villain that I think he's done best in the animated series. Like most of these villains, they've done best in the animated series compared to any other version. But he's still an annoying guy that always loves to reference time.
It's about time. Time.
All in good time.
We get it, that's your thing. Chill out. I'm going to say right off the bat, bud, I think the Clock King belongs in D.
No contest.
Yeah.
If it's any comfort, my revenge will encompass more than just you. I intend to pass a most timely sentence on the entire judicial system.
Okay, next up, we've got just as much as a formidable foe as Bane as far as size of a character. We've got Killer Croc.
Love Killer Croc. The first Batman villain. No, it's not the first Batman villain I ever drew. That was actually Clayface, I believe. Yeah, it was. But the one that I got to draw a full story around. I love Killer Croc. When it comes to just big dumb brutes, I think he's maybe the best big dumb brute there is. Obviously, he could be compared to someone like the Lizard and Spider-Man, but I just think there's something about Killer Croc that I prefer, and the way he moves and acts and his motives. And
he is a gangster. He's a criminal at heart, right?
Exactly.
The Lizard is a guy that tried to regrow his arm and ended up becoming a monster. But Killer Croc, he was born that way, and he's been a monster his whole life. And instead of being I'm trying to cure myself, he's not trying to cure himself. He's just trying to do crime, baby. And I think
hell yeah,
that's cool.
For my personal opinion, it may be a bit high, but I put him at an A.
Yeah, we got a lot of A's going on here, but I agree. They all deserve it. So we're going Killer Croc in A.
But I guess you've learned that by now, huh? The hard way.
Okay, next up, we have a one-time villain, but a pretty interesting one that was created for this show. We have the character Lockup. He was a prison guard at Arkham Asylum and treated all of the inmates so poorly that they were scared of him. I love when Scarecrow is like,
"Look at me, Batman! I'm shaking with fear! Me, the Scarecrow!"
I'm so scared of this guy.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, it's an ode to Taxi Driver and Travis Bickle and the way he's I'm just going to take control, and he goes way too far. An interesting character. He's big. He's got a pretty cool look. Very Judge Dredd, kind of his look.
Oh my
his
god,
outfit.
He is very I Am the Law, right? That's...
Yeah.
Look, Taxi Driver is one of my favorite movies of all time. That was my favorite movie as a teenager. I love that movie because it's a superhero movie where it's either the origin story of a villain or a hero, and it's up to you to decide at the end. And that's so fucking cool to me because it's a superhero story.
He even kicks over his TV set, just like in Taxi Driver. There's even a sequence.
Wow, I need to rewatch this episode then. That sounds fucking awesome. I love this character. I've always loved this character. I would like to see more of this character. I would not put him shoulder to shoulder with the A squad, so I think he is front of the list B. And he's probably a C on a lot of people's lists, but I think he's a B.
I agree. He's a B. I think he belongs there. Behind bars. B for behind bars. All right.
But I showed them. Now I can keep an eye on everyone.
Next up, we have Batman the Animated Series' first ever villain. It is the creature of the night. It is Man-Bat. How do you feel about Man-Bat in this show?
I'm not huge into Man-Bat. I think it's cool. I already made the comparison with Killer Croc and the Lizard, but this really is more of like the Lizard character. This is the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde of this universe. It's nothing new really to me. I wouldn't put him in a B though. Like, he's still an iconic character, so he should be A. Maybe he is a B. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Hey man, I'll jump in and help you out here. I think he's a B.
Okay.
B for Bat, because he is a great character. He's a great way to start off the show. As we know, director Kevin Altieri said we wanted someone that Batman could like beat up, so we thought a monster would be great instead of a person. The transformation sequence is classic. The whole vibe of the show starts with this episode, and they start with this kind of horror, 50s vibe to this whole show, which really works, separates it from the rest. So because of all of that, he is in the B category, but he does only show up 3 times in this show, and he's only the Man-Bat once. The next time is just a quick little cameo from Kirk Langstrom, and the third time is his wife is the Man-Bat, which is a cool twist, but we only see the Man-Bat once, and because of that, I think, B for Man-Bat.
Great design and great toy. I loved that toy as a kid.
It was out of my control, and it only needs one more component to complete the process. It's in me, Batman.
Next up, we have the artificial intelligence, the evil computer genius known as HARDAC. Now, HARDAC is always something I enjoyed because it gives me that real sci-fi 50s vibe, you know what I mean? Or even earlier than that, the black and white movies, just the whole look of them. Yes, Twilight Zone, perfect. And I love his voice. I think it's really cool. It's chilling. It's very much like a robot is speaking.
Which is why I have taken over.
It's Brainiac in the Batman universe.
You see, we have more in common than you can possibly know.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I love how he makes replicants of all these, people of authority in Gotham. He gets a replicant of Gordon. He gets a replicant of Mayor Hill. He does, he tries to take over slowly by going after the heads of Gotham. And then also, he comes back and he makes a replicant Batman. And that episode, his Silicon Soul, is one of my favorite episodes. It's such a great watch because it really does, even as a robot, taking a life to robot Batman because he shares his memories is enough to make him basically short circuit. So I think HARDAC is a really cool villain. I wouldn't say it's A tier, but I'm leaning towards B.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm happy for it to be a B. The red eye is super 2001: A Space Odyssey, right?
Dave, do you mind if I ask you a personal question?
Yes.
And the design is quite Mignola's Mr. Freeze as well. I dig it. And I'm sure if I saw it again, I would definitely agree that it deserves to be in a B spot.
Okay, cool.
We are HARDAC. We will reactivate the plan to replace all humanity with duplicates.
Next up, we have Dr. Hugo Strange. What do you think of Dr. Hugo Strange in this show?
I'm not the biggest Hugo Strange fan. I enjoy him for what he is, but if someone's like, oh, you want to watch a Hugo Strange episode? No, I don't really want to watch a Hugo Strange episode. So I put him immediately in a C.
I will say that The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne, which is the only episode that Hugo Strange is in this show, is such a great episode. I love the fact that he tries to use Batman's identity as a bidding war with Two-Face and Penguin and Joker, but it's because those other characters are there that make that episode spectacular. Yeah. It's a great characterization, and I love his voice, and I love when he's delving into Bruce's mind with the machine.
You were filled with anger. You desired what? A need filled you. All-consuming. All-controlling. What was it, Mr. Wayne?
That's all excellent stuff. But I agree. I think because he can only be used once. That's all you can really do with the character in this show. I agree. He belongs in C. So let's put Hugo Strange in C.
It's like in the Arkham games, in the second game, he's technically the main villain, but do you remember that he is? That
That's true, he is. Yeah, that's right.
Batman fights the ending of the Joker. Two-Face, like all of these famous villains, and then like at the end, it's like we're taking down Hugo Strange. I'm like, oh yeah, right. Hugo Strange is like taking over this prison camp.
And good day to you, Batman.
All right, next up, we've got the Clown Prince of Crime, the greatest Joker that we've ever seen, in my opinion. We've got Mark Hamill's The Joker.
Yeah, D, right? Like, real. Everyone hates this version of Joker. It's everyone's least favorite version. Everyone loves Jared Leto's Joker. That's their top one. Or Cookie Mash Face McGee in the Batman after credits, which, oh my god. Please just put this in S so we can praise it.
Is someone supposed to be writing this down?
It is the best Joker ever. It's a Joker that has influenced so many people's opinions of the Joker. He's fun, he's scary, he's evil, he's unpredictable, chaotic. Like, every single attribute of the Joker is just brilliantly woven in by Mark Hamill. S tier, nothing less. Going straight at the tippy top.
Well, that was fun. Who's for Chinese?
Okay, next up, we've got Red Claw, who makes 2 appearances in this show and is sort of, I guess she's a terrorist, you would say. What do you think of Red Claw?
Look, she can red my claws any day of the week, but she needs to be in a D.
Yeah, I agree. She's good fun for what she's in, but she's never been someone that stood out in this show to me. Like the tattoo, like her look with the white streak in the hair.
Great look.
Yeah, it's great look, but yeah, I agree. Dropping down into D.
Do you have a problem with that?
Not at all. I'm an equal opportunity crime fighter.
Next up, we've got Maxie Zeus, the guy who thinks he's Zeus himself and lives on Mount Olympus. I like the episode for what it is. There's a scene where Batman shows up in the Batplane and he goes,
"Behold, the coming of my brother, Lord Hades!"
But that's kind of where it lies for me, bud. I'm not really. I don't feel the lightning strike on this character.
I'm going to say that he should be from Mount Deuce instead, because he's a big pile of shit. And you drop him in the D.
Okay, yeah, we're putting Maxie Zeus in
D for
as
Dookie.
well.
There's a cynical edge to your voice I don't appreciate.
And play a fart noise when I say Dookie.
Okay, next up we have Pamela Isley, also known as Poison Ivy. I think that Poison Ivy in this show is, again, like top tier. The best Poison Ivy. Her voice is like silk.
If it's excitement you boys crave.
But it's also so scary, and we've got just great characterization. She's an eco-terrorist.
She slaughtered an ancient forest to produce cardboard. Cardboard! And
they really push that in this show, and it makes so much sense for her. She's had so many amazing episodes, from the first time she ever appeared, poisoning Harvey Dent, all the way up to House and Garden, where she has a fake family that turns into giant plant creatures at the end and like pretends she's like living a happy suburban life, but she's not. I think she is
kind of in the vein of Wonder Vision, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah, a little Wonder Vision like, yeah. I agree. I'm going to say S tier for Poison Ivy.
I think she's an A tier for me.
Really?
She is iconic and classic, and the best version of her is in this, but I am not excited to watch a Poison Ivy episode like I would be with a Joker episode, a Catwoman episode.
I don't know. It's really hard because I'd
rather watch a Killer Croc episode over a Poison Ivy episode. And
whoa!
I'd rather watch an episode with Bane in it, or Clayface.
I don't know, man. I love her team up with Harley. That whole relationship is also brilliant. I love how they are essentially like implying that they're in a relationship, but as much as they can do in the 90s, and obviously that's blossomed now in the Harley Quinn TV show. But I really love Poison Ivy. It pains me to see her in the A category, but I mean, if you don't agree with S and A is your choice, there's nothing in the middle, so I guess it will have to be an A for Poison Ivy.
You can put it in the S tier if you like. I won't be.
Wow! Alright, okay. We're going S tier with Poison Ivy then. Now I feel cheated. Now I feel like you've just given it to me. Like, I guess you can have that if you want.
Do you like that position that you just made?
The way she looks in S tier?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm going to put her in A.
You like her right next to Mark Hamill's Joker, huh?
Yeah, she's an A. All right.
To what do I owe the honor?
Okay, next up we have the one-time villain who I only put in here because he's voiced by Bruce Timm and he's in a great episode. He is the Mad Bomber from Beware the Grey Ghost. We've watched this fairly recently. How do you feel about the Mad Bomber?
It's fine. I love his delivery of like...
It can earn millions. Millions for the little old toy collector. Me.
Like, that's fun. I like... If you're in the know, you know that it's the guy that designed all of the characters. There's a huge part of the production of the show. That's it, though, right? Like, otherwise...
Yeah, he's an obsessive collector, which I think is fun to play on.
He's a wished-out toy maker.
Yes, he is, yeah. I'm going to say D, though.
Yeah, D for Dookie, and please add that fart noise again.
No! My toys! My toys! My beautiful toys!
Okay, next up, another one-time villain. A little ridiculous.
And D
also...
for Dookie, play 2 fart noises.
Don't even get to give him a credit.
No.
Nostromos from Prophecy of Doom. I agree. Dropping straight down into
Prophecy
D.
of a Dookie, and that's 3 fart noises now.
It grieves me to burden your spirits with solemn news as well. The great fall is at hand.
Okay, next up we have Oswald Cobblepot, also known as the Penguin in this show. You go first, bud. What do you think of the Penguin?
I think Penguin's an S tier. What an iconic character. I love the way he speaks in this show.
But for sheer criminal genius, none surpasses my most recent ornithologically inspired entoilment.
He is just an icon, an absolute icon. And a cartoon character with a big fat cigarette hanging out of their mouth, I'm all for it. So
I agree. I think he's S tier. I love that he is a refined gentleman. I know he's based off Danny DeVito's design, but I think he's got this voice that's just so eloquent, and I love the way he speaks and he handles himself and just using big words because he thinks he's super smart. Like, I think it's great. I think S tier is exactly where this Penguin belongs.
And it's absolutely brilliant. A first-rate piece of detective work. You are to be rewarded, sir.
Okay, now we've got created for this show and obviously went on to become a world phenomenon. We've got Harleen Quinzel, also known as Harley Quinn. What do you think of Harley Quinn in this show?
100% easy S tier, slam dunk of a character.
Absolutely, no question.
You're created in the show. The voice is iconic. The outfit's iconic.
I feel like a human being again.
Hilarious, right? Like, lines they produce are absolutely incredibly funny.
Guess I'll need a new hobby now that old Charlie's...
Macrame's nice.
Super S tier. Yeah, easy peasy.
Yep, she looks good next to the Joker as well.
Yeah, I didn't even think about her with the Joker. I think she that's why she was such a strong character, because she started out as a sidekick, essentially, and ended up being a star herself. Like, you could say that more so than fucking Robin, right? Like,
yeah, you could.
That's strong.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Next up, we have a one-time villain, but we did just watch this episode and we were surprised, actually, at how much we enjoyed it. We've got the Invisible Man from See No Evil.
May not be able to see him, but I can see that he is covered in a pile of shit, and that's 7 dookies. So that's 7 fart noises to add.
No, I'm not doing that many.
Yeah, it's a fun episode, very Hitchcock, like, very cool, but like he's
creepy, with his daughter.
Yeah,
and like that whole scene. We just put
Harley Quinn on the bloody list. Like, get down there in the dookie pile.
Yeah, okay, he's in D.
Yeah, I guess I'm what you'd call a burnout case.
Okay, next up, we've got Edward Nygma, the Riddler. I will start by saying that this version of the Riddler is my absolute favorite. I know that most of these characters are my absolute favorite, but they are all amazing. But there's some that's why we're ranking them, that are just higher than the rest. I think Edward Nygma's Riddler belongs in the S tier of this category.
And you said it with trepidation, like I wouldn't agree with you, but I 100% agree with you. Riddler is one of the most iconic villains of all time, and this is the best version of him. and he should stand shoulder to shoulder with the rest up there at the top. There's one episode where they go into this video game that's supposed to be like Dungeons and Dragons-ish type stuff. I love that episode because it's one of the rare things that I actually get nostalgia from watching this show, which I know sounds weird. Like, the whole show should be nostalgic for me, and it is, but that specific episode, I remember being a kid sitting on the sofa in New Jersey watching that episode.
Yeah, it's a great... I enjoyed that episode. I think that my favorite Riddler episode is Riddler's Reform, where you think that he's gone, like, you know, straight, and he's working for a toy company, and he's basically scheming on how to trick Batman, and constantly putting riddles in his TV commercials to throw Batman off. And then at the end, he plans to kill Batman, has no idea how Batman escaped, and I love just him screaming at the top of his lungs in Arkham, like,
Do you hear me? Somebody tell me how he did it! I have to know!
It's so great that, like, that riddle just drives him to insanity. Yeah, he's S tier all the way. The Riddler is so good. And his look is so cool. I love his suit in this.
That black shirt. That's how I drew him when I drew him very briefly in my recent stint on that Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing book. I got a chance to draw a bunch of classic Batman villains, and I was told I could draw them any way I liked, so I just drew straight up Batman the Animated Series for all of them.
Hell yeah.
My. Can we actually have a brain beneath that pointy cowl of ours?
Next up, we've got 3 villains that count as one. They're the Terrible Trio. They're rich guys who have turned to crime because they're bored and essentially commit crimes in order to bring some excitement into their life. What do you think of the Terrible Trio?
Is that a toilet I hear that's clogged up with dookie? Maybe one more dookie will help it go down the drain.
Okay, so S tier then, yeah? Okay, yeah, drop it into D,
now
I agree.
8 dookies that you need to play. 8.
Haven't you listened to anything I've told you? We are beyond limitations, beyond restriction.
Okay, next up, we have the King of the Sewers, also known as the Sewer King, a guy who enslaved orphan children to essentially make him dinner. That's what they were there for. And he's got crocodiles on, like, short leads that he's trained. What do you think of the Sewer King?
Ah, yes. Another flush in the D.
Yes, you have.
Do you know, like, I was almost leaning towards C. A lot of people hate the Sewer King, but I think he's such a vicious character. Like, to enslave a bunch of orphan children in the sewer and make them do his bidding. And Batman almost kills him because he's so angry at him. I was leaning more towards C with the Sewer King. Sewer King.
I don't think the Sewer King stands shoulder to shoulder with Talia al Ghul and Hugo Strange. I think he stands shoulder to shoulder with all the other pieces of poo floating in that.
In the sewer.
Yeah, take him where he wants to be.
In
the sewer.
And after all I've done for you ungrateful little monsters.
Okay, next up, another one-time character that was earlier on in the show, much like Sewer King. We've got the biggest guy in the desert, I guess. That's where they are of Gotham, which is
right.
Boss Biggis.
I need to be somewhere hot so I can sweat off all this meat that I'm eating.
What do you think? I mean, we love The Forgotten.
Yes, this is going to be such a personal vote, but I put him in a C tier. He is very funny.
I have to eat. They have to work.
And I love watching the episode, and he elevates that episode with his presence.
Yes,
he's just a fat, evil guy, and I love it.
Yeah, and you know what, bud? C is for cannibal, because our theory that we actually thought he was eating the guys that weren't working hard enough, and he put them in the hot box, and then they roasted, and then he started eating meat. We're like, is he eating those people?
If those fools let that prisoner escape, I'll eat him alive.
He's actually, if he's a scary character, if that was true. So yeah, let's chuck him in the C category. C for cannibal.
We'll see how they like the oven.
Okay, next up we have one of the best villains of this entire show. Standout took this villain from a C-list character to an A-list character, and that's not me ranking him already, but we've got Harvey Dent, Two-Face. How do you feel about Two-Face in this?
My God, I mean, it's just the best version of this. I've never liked this character anywhere else besides this. I don't understand why people can't do him properly. Why? He's such a flawed villain. He goes through incredible diverse changes, like, as the show progresses. And the look of him, he's so iconic. Like, it's so hard to make a mutilated face for a children's TV show, but they do it excellently. Like that it's just, it's S tier. Easy, S-tier. So easy.
Absolutely. All the way. S for separated down the middle.
That's right. S for schoolyard bully Harvey.
I had to teach the little man some respect. Everybody needs respect.
Next up, we've got Ra's al Ghul, the demon's head. I will say that I always hear David Warner's voice whenever I see Ra's al Ghul. I always compare any Ra's al Ghul that I've ever seen to this one.
I am merely old. Older, perhaps, than you can imagine.
It's the first time I ever saw this character, so that obviously, will always be ingrained in my mind. But I think he's a fantastic villain, and I think he belongs in the A's. I'm just throwing that out there.
I'm not the biggest Ra's al Ghul fan. I don't know what it is about it. It doesn't interest me that much. All of the stuff about the League of Shadows I find just not that interesting. And I know it's a personal thing. I know he's a beloved character. I personally would put him in the B spot. I don't think he's as strong as Clayface, Poison Ivy, the Mad Hatter, Killer Croc, Bane. Like, these are
he's lived
huge characters.
He's lived for hundreds of years and continues. And the Lazarus Pit is an amazing piece of lore with him. And he's essentially able to take over the world. Like, and he ran the West. Like, at one point, we see him in Cowboy
This
era.
isn't a power ranking. This is a ranking of how we like these characters.
All right, I'll put him in B. I'm happy with that.
Then this means we must be enemies. You will regret this insult, detective.
Good job. Okay. I gave you... Who did I give you to put up there?
Well, Poison Ivy, but then I moved to down to 8. Right. Okay, next up, we've got the Master of Fear, the Scarecrow. What do you think about the Scarecrow in this show?
Scarecrow's like one of my favorite villains, but I actually don't think this is the best version of Scarecrow, actually, when I think about it. Usually with every character from Batman the Animated Series, they are the most perfect version. I don't think they got Scarecrow to be interesting until they turned him into the Undertaker towards the end in the new animated series. That's when that character started showing up to be actually scary, creepy, and cool. But I love Scarecrow as a character. Such an interesting character to play on Fears, just the look and the vibe. I'm not the biggest fan of his voice in this show, to be honest.
I merely helped him visualize his innermost terror.
It's a bit too theatrical for this character, and I think it's much better when he gets changed later on. So I for this show, I put him in a B tier.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he belongs in the B. He's got some good episodes. I like the fear toxin. I like how he uses the fear toxin in the show, and they obviously use that quite a few times in order to make an episode story out of it. And he's shown up as like a side villain in some things, but he still belongs in a B. I think he works better in an ensemble than he does on his own.
Yes, I agree. When he's in the trial episode, the fact that he's there, great. He deserves to be in the trial, but it's I don't know. It's a weird one.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, he's much worse than that. Much, much worse than that.
Okay, we got 2 more characters left. Next up, we've got probably the character that everyone knows the most from this show, the episode that has won Emmys and stands out from the crowd. We've got Mr. Freeze. What do you think of Mr. Freeze?
Iconic look. I love that I learned through this podcast that Mike Mignola designed this character. It's so easy to see once you know that. I think that they changed the lore in such a good way for this character to make him actually very interesting. And I think that every time he shows up in this show particularly, I'm paying attention. So I put him in S.
Yeah, I agree. He belongs in the S. Just for his backstory, the sound of his voice, his look alone, all of that is just so top tier. And it's something that has obviously influenced every other iteration of Mr. Freeze to come after. That says a lot about that character.
Yes, it would move me to tears if I still had tears to shed.
Okay, our final one is the joke character that has become kind of a phenomenon. Has been in the Lego movie, as well as just had an action figure made. He only has a brief cameo, but he's got a fun little theme. He is the Sultan of Sauce. It is the Condiment King.
There's plenty of room still in that big toilet of Dookie, so I put him straight in the D. That's 9 fart sound effects you have to play now in a row.
No, I'm not doing any of that. I think he belongs in the D category. I agree.
Let's see if you can cut the mustard.
Quiet!
Okay, so there's our list. Now, looking at this list with everybody laid out, we have a lot of S, we have a lot of A, we have a few B's and C's, and we have a lot of D's. Is there anybody that you think should be shuffled around and put in a different category now we're seeing it all laid out like this?
No, I think I'm good with it.
I think it's a pretty solid list, man. I'm looking at it, and I think everyone is in their right spot. I'm happy with that.
Me too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so there's our ranking list. There's our final thoughts on who we think is top tier Batman the Animated Series villains, and who we think is okay, and who we think is just down in the sewers with the Sewer King. All right, I'm happy with that, man. That's a solid list.
Yeah, I have no quarrels. I think we came to solid agreements on that.
Yeah, that list is now canon. Nobody can argue with it.
As everything we say in this show becomes canon in the Batman universe.
So if you disagree, keep it to yourself.
No, let us know, because, that means that you interact with our stuff on social media, which gets us, more exposure and potentially making some money off of it. So if you don't like it, please comment away.
And they can find us at Robson Inc. INK.
No, that's not why you would send it.
No, if you do, let us know in the comments below what you think about this ranking list, or you can find us on social media at Batman TAS Pod. So that's all the time we've got for this week. Join us next time where we'll continue talking all things Batman, the animated series. Until then, I've been Alex Robson.
I've been Will Robson.
And remember that we are vengeance, we are the night, we are a podcast.
Goodbye.
Doodles!